Pamela, Hrabba, it is wonderful to speak with you both. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Well, thank
Thank
you for
you.
taking the time.
Absolutely. This is a
Mm.
fascinating film. The Day Iceland Stood Still really is an incredible journey to be on. How did the film come together?
Well, it started with a trip to Iceland that I was on with my family, and I was noticing all these statues to women and how cool the women, were in general. And then I read this sidebar in the back of the Lonely Planet guide saying it was just a tiny little paragraph saying that this amazing demonstration had happened. 90% of Iceland's women had taken the day off, and that had started a revolution that had made Iceland the best country for women today. So my head like exploded. And I literally ran to the computer to see what documentary had been made about it. And I learned that no one had made one. So that started the ball rolling. And then when I got an R&D grant, I started calling people in Iceland, and everyone said, you have to talk to Hrabba. Hrabba is this incredible filmmaker who makes films about our equality movements and many other things. And when the two of us got together, I think the spark started to fly, and we thought we could really do something here.
Well, it really is unbelievable. Like this is an amazing film just to see the impact that it had on the entire nation. Um, Hrabba, wondering from you, can you talk about the power of these women standing together like this, the impact it had?
Well, I was on the square in 1975. I was 11 years old, and it was an amazing thing for me as a young girl. And but I thought, oh, now everything's fixed. Nothing. It's over. Inequality is over. It's perfect. And then it's like it went on and on and on and on. But of course, it impacted a lot of other people. And I think not only, had we Vigdis run for president 5 years later, and then two women's part or a women's party emerged that ran for both city politics and then the parliament. So it had a huge impact, and it had impact on men as well. I think, the humor and being faced with what happened that day, I think many people realized that this really had to be corrected.
Certainly, yeah, it's I'm sure that change doesn't happen overnight, but this certainly sends a message. Um, you know,
Sure
to
did.
to you both, I would love to hear, the impact on these women that were involved. Rabba, you were there, at the age of 11, but Pamela, for you, hearing these conversations as well with these women who were actively involved, what sort of impact did it have on them and on their spirits?
Well, I think, what they've really been able to articulate is that they used humor in a very strategic way to keep their own spirits up against the fight because they faced a lot of opposition, and also to open everyone's ears to the message that they had. So they used the humor more than the fist. If it was a very radical movement, but and I think that they were very inspired and kept each other strong by seeing that they could come together in this way. Women said that, that morning, you thought that maybe you'd be the only person on the square. And when they saw that everyone was there, they started to realize, yes, we really do have power. This grassroots movement is going to change things. So yeah, it's very moving to hear them talk about it.
And it
It's
was
interesting. It's interesting. I feel like, a lot of the women that were took part in this fight, in this movement, they most of them all remained kind of on a grassroots level, and I think that's interesting. And none of them went really into politics, but it was like more. They had an effect on other people that came after them, which I find interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, their ethos was we're all equal, no leaders. So we're
Yeah.
all on the same plane. And then, after them, Vigdis, became the leader of the country and so forth. But that was their philosophy. Very different than in America where we had, celebrities, Gloria Steinem and so forth.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Um, I was wondering in your mind, about this, the power of changing a story, because what we see here is repeatedly, this comes up in the film. These women are saying, they told me I couldn't do X, but now, and you mentioned about passing the story on, and the ripple effects of that. I was wondering about what in your mind is the power of being able to change the story.
Well, I think if you don't tell the story, it never happened. The director of 20 Days in Mariupol, which won the Academy Award this year, in his speech, he said, "Cinema forms memories, and memories form history." And I think that was really what was driving us with this film, is if these women don't tell their story, did it ever happen? So
Absolutely. Um, Wondering for you both, I know, Hrabba, you said that you thought it might be over, but it wasn't, and there was many battles to come. What in your mind does the fight look like today? Because the film suggests that at the end, that they're still fighting
Yeah,
those battles.
I mean, I was really taken by off guard that the last Women's Day off, which went on last year on the 48th anniversary, there were 100 and some thousand women that showed up on the main square. I mean, and that's 1/4 of the nation. um, so it was huge, but I mean, there are still, I've mentioned before, like, I know what it is like in the film industry. I mean, there is always places to improve. And, we're still battling with not enough women are on the boards of major companies, and, then they've been trying to install legislation that it has to be at least 60/40. I mean, there are all these things that have to be looked at. There is, you can now also get a kind of a certificate that people in your company are equally paid. So I mean, we're still struggling, and I think, but everything, it has shifted, and I think uh, everything has sort of shifted towards, kind of the Me Too movement, and sexual violence is something that still needs to be dealt with. So even though we are at the top of the gender equality index, I mean, it's still, there are things to be fought for. And most of it has to do with earnings and income and such things.
Iceland, I think, is the only country where the government has actually said that in X number of years, something like 5 years, we're advancing a plan to reach full equality within a very short period of time. And according to the World Economic Forum, it's going to take 300 years for the rest of the world to get there.
Yeah, 2030, it was supposed to be
I'm
the
thinking
year.
I'm thinking of getting a timeshare in Iceland. Let's put it that way.
No,
Iceland
we need
seems
to in America.
from the outsides, Iceland seems to be just one of those countries that's constantly getting it right. I feel like every time I hear this, or at least moving in the right direction, I should say.
Well, yeah. I mean, we still bicker and, complain about everything. We just had the prime minister, resign, the lady, because he's going to run for president. And I was really mad at her because, first of all, I had said to somebody that I would eat my head if she ran for president, which is much less power than being the prime minister. And it's like, she left us hanging. There are still things that need to be corrected, and she was damn good at it. So,
But that was off the record.
yeah.
Okay. Honestly, it's such a pleasure to speak with you both. It truly
Oh,
is.
thank you.
And the film is wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
Okay.
you.
much. Thank you
That
so much.
means a lot. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.